Hello everyone and welcome to Leonora AstroTarot. Thank you so much for stopping by today and joining me for this video. I am truly super happy that you have decided to swing by. Those of you that are returning, I absolutely cherish you, and if you're here for the first time, then welcome. I'm really glad that you found me. But today we are entering Scorpio season, so I'm going to be doing sort of a general forecast, pick a card, forecast for what we might expect, some sort of guidance, really loving guidance for the month ahead. Scorpio season runs from October 23rd to November 22nd this year. The sun will move into Sagittarius in the early hours of November 22nd, that's UK time. But yeah, let's talk a little bit through the month. We have on November 4th a new moon in Scorpio, and on that day the sun will directly oppose Uranus. Uranus is currently in Taurus, which is Scorpio's opposing sign. If your birthday is November 4th, I would take special note of that day. It can be a time of surprises. Uranus is all about liberating us from restrictive circumstances. So if there is circumstances in your life that feel limiting, it is important with Uranus to make those changes. Otherwise we can have some unpleasant surprises. Not to alarm you, astrology should never be something that feeds your anxiety. Learning the symbolism of the planets, the signs, all the energies at play can really it can be an incredible tool of self-knowledge, but also just learning to work with the weather that we are facing at a current time in our life. But yeah, around November 4th, Uranus will be opposing the sun, and it is a time that we do have to make changes in the areas that we know. Like if you're happy in your life, then no, but if there's just things that you've been tolerating, really, things that you know that don't really honor your true needs and wants, this is the time to make changes. So on November 12th, the sun will trine Neptune in Pisces, a fellow water sign to Scorpio. So this is a lovely, very magical, very romantic time. And on November 15th, there will be a square with Jupiter. Jupiter is currently in Aquarius. So Jupiter squaring the sun is a time that we can really overextend ourselves. It's a time where we can be a little bit overly ambitious and maybe struggle with limits. It's a time when perhaps, it's like Jupiter opposing or squaring, this is a square, but any harsh aspect between the sun and Jupiter can lead to struggles with self-limits. So gambling, excess, overspending, all of these things are things that you need to watch for when Jupiter is squaring the sun, and that will be on November 15th. The following day, the sun will sextile Jupiter, however, which is a very deep and sort of deepening, strengthening aspect. It's a time that we can be very honest with ourselves, with others, things like that. We can get to the real core of certain situations in our lives. Yeah, so the full moon will be on November 19th. That will be in Taurus, 27 degrees of Taurus. The new moon in Scorpio is at 12 degrees of Scorpio. So yeah, take note if these degrees, that's the new moon in Scorpio at 12 degrees and the full moon in Taurus at 27 degrees. If you have sensitive placements at those degrees of those signs, then take note. These lunation cycles will be very significant for you personally. On November 5th, Mercury will enter Scorpio. It will leave for Sagittarius as we enter Sagittarius season. And Venus, which is currently in Sagittarius, will be moving to Capricorn on November 5th. Mars will stay in Libra throughout Scorpio season. Yeah, I think those are the headlines generally, but if you are interested in a chart reading or a transit reading from me, you can check out all the info below in the description box. And you can reach me at leonora.astrotarot@gmail.com. If you would like to book a reading. But yeah, for today, we're just looking at what you might expect, guidance as we move through Scorpio season. We have 5 piles. Pile 1 is the orange calcite, pile 2 is the pink tourmaline, pile 3 is the red calcite, pile 4 is the amazonite, and pile 5 is the azurite. So always more than welcome to pick more than one pile. Just go with what your intuition is telling you. If you're a bit confused and not really drawn to any pile, I do recommend pausing and coming back later. But yeah, give yourself a moment to sort of meditate on it, and I will see you in your reading. Hello there, pile ones. Thank you so much for joining me. You picked the orange calcite. And today we're doing a general forecast for Scorpio season as we move into Scorpio season. I did do another read specifically for Scorpios or those that have strong Scorpio energy, which you can check out. But this is sort of a more general read for everyone. Of course, it's collective, so take only what feels like it really resonates with you. You'll know if something is for you, if a message is for you. But we have here cross in the Lenormand deck. We have cutting through, interesting. We have entropy. We have fire of sacrifice. Tons cards here. Pile one, we have birds. We have the King of Wands. We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Sun. We have the King of Chalices, and we have the Eight of Chalices. Okay. Right, so let's get into this pile one. We have the cross and the birds in the Lenormand deck. The cross speaks, of course, of burdens, right? Our burdens to bear. And this is an interesting little card in this Lenormand deck where we have this tiny figure looking at this huge, like, wonky cross. As we move into Scorpio season pile one, you may find that you're sort of contemplating a lot things that have kind of gone wrong. You might feel quite burdened by the past and not really knowing how to move forward. Some of you may also be Scorpios. This is something reminiscent to me about the Scorpio birthday forecast about that. So if you are a Scorpio, yeah, check it out. But there does seem to be a lot of contemplation and also kind of a stalling. You may feel kind of at a loss with how to move forward because of certain things that have unraveled based on past choices. We have cutting through here in the Tantric Dakini oracle. This can speak a lot to having to face unpleasant things, or having to, well, on the one hand, we have to cut through confusion and a lack of clarity to get to the truth, right? Sometimes we have to cut things out and away from us. Here it's like we have these two hands that are holding onto I don't quite know what, and then there's a hand reaching out from beneath the ocean here. Some of you, yes, may have faced recent breakups or general breaking apart of circumstances. Yeah, this feels very similar to the general Scorpio read that I did. And you just may be feeling there's a lot of self-questioning happening, perhaps, in terms of knowing how to move on from a painful time. With entropy here, this is of course like when we just sort of sit in our confusion and our doubt. Things can start to feel sort of progressively worse. Sometimes we do need a timeout, pile one. Sometimes we do need to sort of step back and contemplate before moving forward. Yeah, you may feel like you're stuck in a sort of a little bit of a lethargic sense of defeat at the moment in terms of knowing the way forward. We have fire of sacrifice. There was a lot of intensity I was feeling in these cards as I put them down. There's just this sense of like trial by fire and loss and a sort of chaotic lost. Some of you may have walked away, if it's not a breakup, it may be, or it may be a number of things, but also walked away from a work situation, a friendship dynamics, things like that, and you may be feeling quite alone. You may be struggling to trust people at the moment too. So in terms of sort of rebuilding your life, if there's areas of your life you feel like you have to rebuild, it's necessary to for you to first rebuild your trust in yourself, that you have what you need, and that you've maybe learned from past circumstances. But there does seem to be a strong focus right now on the past rather than on the future. We have the King of Wands, and I do think that the court cards are very interesting in this deck. This is the Prisma Visions. Is it Cosmo Visions or the... I have two of these incredible decks by James Eads, or James R. Eads, I think is the artist's name. This is the Prisma Visions deck, but the court cards have these incredible sort of swirling patterns, and there is a figure here, but they're not very well defined. And this King of Wands is speaking to me a little bit about confidence. The King of Wands speaks about personal power and strength and creativity and all of these things. You know, this card is upright and it's standing strong, but it's like, I do think that you're carrying around quite a bit, pile one, with this cross, beneath this cross, burdens that are preventing you from really freely expressing yourself and standing in your confidence and in your strength and really doing and acting. This is followed by the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands is typically a sort of a little bit of a regression from the King of Wands, right? We go, you know, we go from the page to the Knight to, you know, well, the Queen and the King. But the Knight of Wands is typically a less kind of well-formed version of the King. So there is, again, I was speaking of this feeling of setbacks or things perhaps not, or feeling stalled in the aftermath of something kind of painful and difficult. I do think illumination and breakthrough is on its way throughout Scorpio season, but with this cutting through card, it's, I don't know if you can hear that howling dog, sorry, Pawan, but it is necessary for you to take decisive action. If you have been in this entropy state of being like, God, I don't know if I want to go through that kind of thing again, feeling like you're in a state of, you're mourning, or there's disappointments and things like that, it is really necessary that you don't get stuck there throughout Scorpio season, that you take decisive action, that you kind of hold to your strength. This King of Wands is upright, so it is there, but you may just be feeling a little bit pessimistic, or your focus is on what isn't rather than what is. The Knight of Wands is also a very fast-moving knight. It's a card of passionate action, and underneath this cutting through card, it's just like, perhaps there's things that you need to say that you haven't said, perhaps there's just something that you want to go for, but you're struggling to find the confidence, the optimism, all of those things that, you know, the Wands cards speak of. It's there if you're able to just sort of slightly pick yourself up out of it. I think as soon as you're able to just kind of maybe start with small steps, but kind of rebuild your strength, I think you'll be feeling the benefits of it very quickly. I think if you found yourself in a tough spot as you enter Scorpio season, I think it's very temporary. Again, this is so similar to the Scorpio general, the forecast, is that I don't think this kind of cloud of confusion or sadness or disappointment, these burdens will last, but it's whether you allow them to kind of slip into the background and focus on what you have going for you. And I think you have a lot going for you. And there's also, I mean, the sun here in the middle, it's like underneath entropy, it's like, it's almost like you're sitting in a darkened room and and there's bright lights outside, but you purposely have the blinds closed because you've been disappointed before, part one, because you've been through some knocks lately. But it's almost like you could just open the blind and let the light in. But it's almost like this fear that, well, if I open the blind, maybe it's just like dark and grim out there. I don't think it is, part one. It's really a matter of your perception and the way that you're looking at things, the way that you're thinking about things. The sun here is telling me that you have so much potential here, potential joy, potential success throughout Scorpio season. But under this entropy card, like, you have to claim it. You have to pick yourself up and be like, yeah, like if you've lost passion for certain things, certain projects, whatever it is, focus on the things you love. Whatever areas of your life that, you know, have these disruptions, these disappointments haven't touched, or even if they have, it's like there's so much that you have going for you, I feel, Paul, one that you're maybe not seeing. With the King of Chalices or the King of Cups, this is a card all about sort of emotional maturity, emotional depth, right? You have learned a lot through these difficult experiences. But it's important that we don't let these things happen without really going within, without really kind of questioning our you know, what are the roots of these challenging experiences? What were the choices made and what were they motivated by? rather than sort of storming ahead in a kind of Knight of Wands fashion before we take this passionate. I mean, Knight of Wands can be a very helpful energy to be in at times when we want to break out of stagnancy. But it is important for you to honor your emotions as you move forward, but also to take care of yourself, Paul 1. This entropy card is telling me that maybe lately you've been a bit down on yourself and you've been neglecting certain areas of your life necessary, or just ways of being good to yourself and being true to yourself. With this 8 of chalices, the 8 of cups, yeah, it's the 8 of cups is a card all about walking away, of course, and this person has almost like a chain in their hand. Underneath the birds, again, it's just speaking to me that if it's not necessarily a relationship with a single person, it could be with numerous people, whether it's a work or a social thing. You may have felt or be in the process of letting go of some pretty toxic bonds, or questioning which bonds in your life are really meaningful and are strong, are really in your best and highest good. With this crosshair, yeah, I think perhaps you're still feeling quite burdened by that currently, but I do think you'll be letting go of this sense of burden throughout the next month, throughout Scorpio season. But it's like you're walking into this real unknown. You do have everything you need to face this new stage of your life, Paul 1. Even though it's like you're walking into this like swirling red, sort of slightly kind of mysterious or chaotic landscape. There are definitely things that you are needing to or have already walked away from. And you will continue to do that, but you do have everything you need here with these sort of, particularly with the King of Wands and the King of Cups here, like upright here. It's like you have gained so much through things that may have been like extremely tough for you. But don't stay in that space. You will be, I think, moving out of this gradually, or as quickly or as slowly as you want. But don't lose time in this state of entropy. There is so much, I think, that is waiting for you, Paul 1. If you can go for it. You know, the Knight of Wands goes for it. It's just that maybe what you're going for feels pretty challenging, pretty painful. Too. And again, you have to be careful of not sort of projecting difficult past experiences onto future potential experiences. So if you've been through a bad breakup, for instance, making sure that you've let go of the complications of that particular dynamic and what you felt about that person, and not projecting them onto the next. Making sure there's this, I think, with this King of Cups, this sort of analysis that goes on, just this sort of self-reflection, rather than sort of letting things sort of deteriorate around you because you feel so burdened by these experiences. There is necessary illumination that has to happen with the sun. There is necessary clarity. For some of you, there are uncomfortable conversations that have to take place with this cutting through card. Whether it's cutting cords or whether it's mending things that have gone a bit wrong here. Because I was sensing initially that many of you are feeling like you've sort of taken the wrong turn here, or you feel quite burdened by past decisions. Some of those decisions may need to be corrected to some degree, but you do have the courage here. But you have everything you need. You have the King of Wands energy and confidence and strength, passion, and it's sort of like needing to embody the Knight of Wands to actually put that into action. Action is really important and necessary here, Pile 1. So I hope that resonated with some of you out there. Do comment if it did. Do like, subscribe, and all the usual things. And I'm wishing you the very, very, very best for Scorpio season. And I look forward to reading for you next time. Take care. Bye, everyone. Hello, Pile 2s. Welcome to your reading. You picked the pink Tourmaline. And today we're doing a general forecast for Scorpio season. So for the coming weeks, it's October 23rd to November 22nd, in which we'll enter into Sagittarius season. But of course, you know, energy doesn't quite work on the clock in the way that perhaps we might like. So everything is sort of flowing in the way that it wants to be. But in the way that it wants to. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying about that, but let's have a little look at the cards that came up for you, Part 2. We have Clover, nice. We have the Rose Garden. We have Gemstones. We have like a bubble. We have Tree. We have the Two of Wands, the King of Swords, the Ten of Chalices, the Page of Pentacles, and the Three of Swords. These cards are really gorgeous and have such a lovely feel to them. We do have the Three of Swords here, but hey, let's see where we go with this, right? Let me just check. That's kind of a little wonky. Let's just gonna shift that a little. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna shuffle this up. Sorry, pile 2, let's get into this. We're starting with Clover, which is all about luck, right? It's about opportunity. It's about things going your way. I do think for some of you, whatever vibe you're in as we enter Scorpio season, the coming week is going to be a time of opportunity and abundance and just kind of like things coming through. All of these cards are really just satisfying. We have the Rose Garden here. So some of you, I get the sense you may be kind of retreating to somewhere away from your regular life. Some of you may be going to a literal retreat, or you may be going to a place that allows you some kind of seclusion. And this, like a bubble card, is kind of separate from sort of the stresses of your everyday life. You're taking a time out, and it may be really needed, really necessary. With this gemstone, you may have been quite focused on money, on earning, but you may have been earning a lot, and you're kind of reaping the fruits of your labor, right? Or, you know, claiming things that you have put a lot of effort into. But these cards speak to me often just like really about pleasure and abundance here. So, you know, perhaps some of you have already experienced some kind of windfall, whether large or small, but there is definitely hope here with this Clover that might increase, or if it hasn't happened yet, that these coming weeks may be very, very fruitful for you. Some of you may be interested in jewelry, or that may be part of something that you do, making things with gems. With the Rose Garden, yeah, there's just a really pleasing feeling here, and I do think some of you may be working in events, something like that, creating really pleasing sensual environments, yeah, with Tree. But it does seem that those that pick this path, that you're sort of gonna be having time out and time to really kind of regenerate, decompress, all of that, and really tune in with yourself. Yeah, so let's have a look at the Two of Wands. Some of you may have been wishing for something, and with this card underneath the Clover, it does seem like there's potential here for things to really come together. If you had a dream, if you had been hoping for something, and waiting. This card almost, yeah, sometimes the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands have a very similar kind of vibe. It's just someone kind of looking out at the horizon, waiting, or sort of seeming to. Again, there's like something about landscape coming in, whether it's trees, there's mountains in both of these, spending time in nature, or just some of you may be also kind of city dwellers, or you're used to kind of more chaotic and noisy environments, and I think that you're going to be, as I said, that there's a siren, but I think if not for the whole of Scorpio season, I think there will be a time and opportunity for you to really kind of remove yourself from your everyday stresses. With the King of Swords here underneath the Rose Garden, this is a really interesting King of Swords, and has like a basket or like a boat of birds and butterflies. It's like very a very interesting King of Swords. For some reason, self-criticism is coming through to me, like working on that, working on the way that you speak to yourself and the way that you think about yourself, because you've obviously achieved a lot, or you will be achieving a lot. My Paltus, it's like the King of Swords, I'm getting like a real stern inner critic with this card. In a generally kind of peaceful atmosphere here. There's a need to keep certain tendencies at bay. I mean, some of you may be going into a spa or something like that, you know, just like a really pleasing environment, but it's about allowing yourself peace of mind, or just moments of peace without getting in your own way, without being, getting into these sort of thought loops where you're worrying about the future, or you're worrying about your schedule, you're worrying about all the things that you have to be doing. This 10 of Cups, this is lovely, and there's sort of two people here that are connecting with one another. Some of you may be reconnecting with somebody from in your world. If you've drifted away, again, there's this sense of perhaps being overworked, or being wrapped up in certain things and being a little bit disconnected from your emotion, but that's going to be shifting. There is a potential reconnection here that's happening, or a conversation with someone that's creating some kind of clarity for you. And we have the Page of Pentacles, which is a very tangible sort of offer. I feel like some of you are really reconsidering what you do in a tangible way and how you do it. It's like for some of you, and this is specific and it won't be for everyone, it's almost like you've had certain luck in certain areas, but it's maybe not emotionally fulfilling. Some of you may also be reconsidering, like perhaps going to study, like this is perhaps something you're considering in your time out, is reconsidering. It's like you're reconnecting with your own emotions, and as you do that, you're reconsidering what you do in a day-to-day way. You're wanting, and these are the things on your mind throughout Scorpio season, is what you do day to day, because you can't always stay in a state of permanent retreat. I suppose you could if you really wanted to, or you could sort of retreat from your life and move to the mountains. But it's like there's this wanting to have what you're doing day to day, like your day-to-day life, to be reflective of who you really are, but also to be deeply, like, emotionally fulfilling. Like perhaps it's been intellectually or fulfilling, or it's been satisfying financially or something, but there's like you're wanting to have something emotionally fulfilling, and I think perhaps you're willing to kind of go back to the drawing board, or go back to the beginning of something, or re-educate yourself, or educate yourself in a different way, do a course, do a workshop, something like that. Because you want to be happy. Because it's almost like some things have gone right, but they haven't fulfilled you. And with the Three of Swords here, this is under the tree. I didn't see that there's this a stag here underneath this these three swords. Yeah, I do think you've in the pursuit of something, and maybe it has been something material or something you thought you wanted, you've almost let your emotions take, or your emotional fulfillment. Some of you may just be very career focused and ambitious, but what I'm feeling here is that you're acknowledging that you haven't fed your emotions. It's like you put all of your energy into one area of your life, but it didn't fulfill you. In fact, it caused you quite a lot of pain. I mean, look at this stag with it's like you've Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to connect with this energy. It's sort of like, perhaps some of you have felt like you've missed out on emotionally fulfilling opportunities, maybe even relationships, because you've had your focus on other things, and it doesn't even have to be career. It's like there's just been an imbalance here of focus, and these things you're really facing them throughout Scorpio season. And I think there's a deep sense of wanting to do things a little differently, of wanting to kind of re-establish the balance in your life about what you're allowing to take precedence over other things, because it does seem like it's like not following entirely from the heart, and I think that's something that you are wanting to align with. I hope that makes sense to some of you out there. If this sounds like you, let me know. Do leave me a comment. Would love to hear from you guys. Do like, subscribe, and all the usual. But enjoy Scorpio season, guys. It looks like it's going to be an interesting one for you, and a meaningful one for you. But I take care of yourselves, and I look forward to connecting with you the next time. Take care. Bye. Hello, Pole 3, welcome. You picked the red calcite, and today we're just doing a general forecast for Scorpio season, so what to expect, really some kind of insight into the coming weeks. Obviously this is collective, it's for everyone. Take only what feels like it's meant for you. We have fish, we have solar return, we have birth, we have Joker, we have bouquet, we have the 10 of Pentacles, the 7 of Swords, the 4 of Wands, the 4 of Chalices, and the 4 of Swords. Okay, let me just check my frame here. Fish, we're starting with fish. We have two... I do think that in the Lenormand, the fish speak of sometimes material things, which I don't necessarily understand, but what I'm getting more is two people circling one another, and we have of different, you know, we have dark and light energy here, just as we do on the solar return. Some of you may be Scorpios, of course, because solar return is our birthday. It's when the sun returns to the place, the natal degree. And this is almost like there's something illuminating, or something, it's like something is coming to a head here. In terms of things coming together, or different principles, or things that have been opposing one another coming together. We have birth here, and this is a really interesting birth card, because I always see this kind of baby as oversized, and there's these rocky waters, so it's almost like in order to birth this has not been this has not been an easy birth, or it's like something that was supposed to happen, or something that could have happened in a simple or easy way. It hasn't happened that way. It's been really complicated. It's been really disruptive. It's been dramatic, or perhaps it hasn't even been able to birth itself because of certain factors. But we have these birds on this card here, so it's like there's movement here. There's flight. For some of you, there may be literal flight throughout Scorpio season, but there's movement and progress here. This Joker card is funny. Again, I'm sort of drawn to. I think in some cases, and whether it's you or it's someone you're dealing with, it's like, I'm seeing both. There's a dice here, so there's a gamble that's taking place when it comes to, with these circling, opposing, it's like perhaps you've circled someone for a long time. Perhaps this has been a long time coming, and you didn't think it would come together. But I think one person in this scenario, it doesn't even have to be a romantic scenario, it will be different for all of you, wants to gamble on this with this dice. It may involve foreign travel with this globe here, and also with this kind of labyrinth-like thing on this Joker's body. It's like there's a whatever this is, it's complicated, right? It's a really complicated situation, and the ways in which it's complicated will be different for all of you, but it's just this sense of like something that could have been so simple became so complicated, to the point that I feel like whoever is wanting to create this reconnection, or this coming together, this birthing of this situation that is perhaps very overdue, feels like, is this even possible at this point? Because it's become so messy that there's no simple way to make it happen. So it's like you're rolling a dice here. You're just rolling a dice and hoping for the best. And with a bouquet, this is an offering, right? So it does seem like somebody wants to offer something to someone else. Yeah. With the 10 of Pentacles, there's a dream in mind. And with the 10 of Pentacles, this is often a card that speaks of family, of material abundance. And in this deck, it's lovely, but the pentacle, like this extremely kind of bountiful imagery, it's like it's very emotional, this idea. It's almost like, so what I'm getting is that someone feels like they kind of lost their one person, the person that was right for them, the person that they could have had this 10 of Pentacles, sort of 10 of Cups like vibe with. that they missed out on that person, or they lost them, that something became very complicated when it should have been very simple, because we have the Seven of Swords here, which it can speak of deception, or it's things that are hidden, right? Or it's someone self-serving behavior. On this particular card, it's like really weird sort of figure here on this card. I think whoever it is that wants to reconnect feels like something became messy or dark unnecessarily. Yeah, there's a sense that someone feels someone else is their match, their one, their soulmate, however you want to call it. But this got messed up kind of badly, and there's some kind of sneaky behavior here, or deceptive, or this person is wearing a mask, so it's like all is not what it seems, or perhaps someone sort of portrayed something to someone else to be a certain way, and it just feels like it's messed up. To the person that wants to do the reconnection, of course, the other person may be unaware of that, whether that's you or whether that's somebody else. But we're moving to the Four of Wands here, which is a card of celebration. It's quite festive. It's about, there is a determination to have a happy ending here. But there's a lot of doubt about whether that's possible because of the mess that has been made. So there's a sort of, again, opposing energies, opposing forces here in terms of, well, could it be? Could this thing be birthed? Is it possible for this person that wants to repair this to claim this potential that was never fulfilled, which is sort of the real deal, which is sort of everything. It's like this person is dreaming of that. It's such a dream, but they're also acknowledging the Seven of Swords energy has really, really, really complicated the possibility of fulfilling the potential. Will this bouquet be enough? It feels like such a risk for this person. We have this Four of Chalices, which is like the Four of Cups. Underneath this Joker, and in this particular Four of Cups, all of the cups, because usually there's like a cup that's coming from, you know, the ether, just handing someone something that they're not claiming. But here, all the cups, this person is aware of all the cups. So there's two upright and there's two that are overturned. So there's this sense of this could go either way if they roll this dice. That they could end up with the Two of Cups. They could end up with these two spilled cups. And this person is just like sitting here, like, look at this person. Look at them. It's much easier to just sit there under a tree, right, contemplating, going back and forth, than taking action, than rolling this dice. And the way this person is facing this Four of Wands, it's just like they don't want to give up on the dream of this reconciliation. And as soon as they roll the dice, they're kind of going to have to face the outcome. Whether this thing can be birthed. And it's just like, this is a card of lethargy. It's a card of just like, feeling a bit defeated even before something has happened, but it's also a card that tends to speak of, you know, missed opportunities. So, and like I said, it is as if this opportunity has already been lost or messed up because of, you know, whatever this Seven of Swords is, whatever it is, but this person, the person that wants to reconnect, has to kind of get out of this Four of Cups energy if they actually want to offer this bouquet. And we're ending here with the Four of Swords. And this card is usually a card of kind of sort of retreating and kind of waiting before like the soldier goes back into battle, right? So it's usually quite a restive card, but in this card it's like this person is building something. There's three swords there, the Three of Swords, which is sort of, I think, the pain, right? But they're building a new sword, or I don't know what they're doing, but they're like, this person does have a vision and a hope and a dream, and it's like it's almost like they're building this bouquet. This is you know, a Scorpio season forecast. So whoever it is that's sort of wanting this, whether they're going to offer this bouquet during Scorpio season, I don't know, but the potential definitely seems to be there. But it depends, like, whether, because staying in this Four of Cups energy is just is really gonna slow this person down, and who knows whether the other person wants to receive the bouquet, how that bouquet will be received. I'm not getting that, like, and I'm not getting whether it's possible for this thing to be birthed. It's more about whether this person can kind of roll this dice. Yeah, I just want to have another look at this Joker card. I do think this person feels very foolish too, and they're questioning how foolish it is to attempt that. They're foolish. They feel foolish because of past actions and missing this perfect opportunity. This person, their one, who they're feeling is their one, but they're also sort of thinking. They just feel there is a sense of embarrassment or foolishness that I think is also keeping them in this Four of Cups energy. That they may look like a fool if they take this risk to the person that they want to offer the bouquet to, and they have to kind of get beyond their pride too. Pride may be a thing that's really holding them back here, that it's just like, it's not helpful. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. I hope this was meaningful for some of you out there. I hope it resonated. Do let me know if it did, and do like, subscribe, and all the usual, and have an amazing Scorpio season, and I look forward to reading for you next time around. Take care. Bye. Hello, Pearl 4, and welcome to your reading. You picked the Amazonite, and today we're doing a general forecast for whatever sign you are, for Scorpio season. So we're looking for insight in the energies for these coming weeks and how you might best navigate those energies. Of course, yes, this is a collective read. Take only what feels like it's true to you. Ooh, we have elixir fruit / essence. We have union. Oh my. We have Maya, how she spins. This is looking pretty nice. Pile 4. We have garden, also lovely. This is where the tarot cards just ruin it all. No, we have the 9 of chalices, we have the 7 of wands, we have the high priestess, we have the 9 of wands, and we have the ace of chalices. So no, the cards are really reinforcing these very lovely and quite romantic messages for you. Let me just shuffle these up a little bit so that you can see everything as clearly as possible. So yeah, what is in store this Scorpio season for you, Pole 4? I think quite a lot of really nice stuff. We do have union. This card has actually never come out from this deck before. I haven't seen it. But we have 2 hands holding, and we have some of you, if you're already in a relationship, things are going to be developing. I can't ignore the fact that there's a ring here, so I don't want to sort of ruin any surprises or plant big ideas in your head if that's not already on your radar. Some of you may have weddings planned and things like that, in which case it's not a surprise. The ring doesn't have to be literal, of course. It may be an opportunity, an offer, or it's just like a deepening, a promise that is happening. For those of you, if there's someone in your life, if there's not someone in your life, there very could be somebody arriving in your life that is really that you're really very passionate about. With elixir fruit S in here, this is a very erotic card, as you can see. Pile 4 it's very erotic. So what can I say? This is a very romantic, very sexual union. Yeah, for those of you that are already in that, I'm sure you know that, but there's some kind of progress or shifting here, or some kind of just like fated, like things. For some of you, maybe coming back together with someone with this union card, and there's something very fateful about this. With garden, again, I can't help but see this is almost kind of erotic, and it's like yeah, for some of you, there's a kind of awakening, I think, that is happening around relationships. Perhaps this has been, for some of you, this is something that is already, you're already in, but for others it's like there's something that has been orbiting you for a while, and perhaps it's come close together and then it's come apart, perhaps it's come, you know, but this is undeniable here with the union right in the middle. These cards are undeniable. You know, we're also moving towards the Ace of Chalices, which in this deck is the Ace of Cups. We have the Nine of Chalices, the Nine of Cups. So we have this Nine of Cups underneath this ring. So this is all about sort of complete satisfaction, satiation, getting what you really want, wish fulfillment, wishes coming true. It doesn't really get much better than this. Pile 4, you picked the right pile. I was just doing a reading where it's, you know, that it's a very difficult, they're painful messages, and sometimes that's the way it is. But when the vibes are good, like, you know, I gotta deliver it. Sometimes I worry about creating sort of a sense of potential here, but if it doesn't sort of deliver, but you're all in different situations, so it's not going to be the same thing for everyone that is watching this. You know what your situation is. If you're about to get engaged, married, and have a kind of deeper commitment in your union, then this is not going to come as a surprise. If you're currently single and there's no one in your orbit, there's just like a very romantic energy around you, and it does seem like with this Maya, how she spins, this has been something that's been in the works for a while. But throughout Scorpio season, this is something that is really going to be sort of showing up in your world. Because with the High Priestess here under union, it's something that you might have intuited, especially if you're single. Something that you've sensed something about someone, about a certain situation, but perhaps you haven't had that validated by reality. Like, it's just like you feel it to be true, but you don't know. You may be getting clarity into why you've had certain instincts about things, about people. For some of you, I mean, this is very romantic. Like, it's hard for me to deny these cards, but for some of you it may also be a very deep friendship, or it's just there's a really lovely, really warm, very positive, really joyful coming together here with the Nine of Cups. It's just like getting what you want. It's just very, very satisfying and very, very pleasurable. Look at these two cards here that is just about sort of just real pleasure. So yeah. With Seven of Wands, let's take a look at here at this card. Often this card is a little bit defensive. It's about fighting for things. But the imagery here on this particular deck is like someone kind of quite playfully jumping between these sort of wands. Again, I do think Scorpio season, like wherever you currently are, whatever energy you're currently sitting in, pile 4, there is a kind of lightness and a playful energy that's coming in your direction. It's just, I think you, as the weeks unfold, and obviously beyond Scorpio season 2, that there's going to be a lot more pleasure and joy and playfulness in your life. For some of you, this may be something that didn't get off the ground, or something that hit some kind of hurdle. And even if you're in a union, if you're in a relationship, you may have gone through certain rough patches, because we do have the Nine of Wands here. And there was something fated about this. It's almost like whatever your circumstances, if you've been in a little bit of an ebb situation, things are going to be really, really flowing. Because this card, again, is another card of sort of defensiveness, of feeling a little bit... it's like that kind of wounded warrior that's having to kind of maintain their stamina and kind of guard what's theirs. For those of you that this is a new thing, or it's a thing that's coming back around, I do think you know, it's safe to let your guard down, and there's a lot to gain from being open and allowing yourself to receive. So that's a really big thing I'm feeling here. If there is something that's coming together, or there is this evolution, I do think it's sort of something that you're going to be receiving rather than instigating yourself. But that might sound kind of passive, but I think it's actually not always that easy to receive, right? Sometimes we can experience blocks which can prevent us from really receiving, and perhaps like if you have intuited with this High Priestess that something might come your way, or you felt something to be right but it just like wasn't happening, at the beginning of Scorpio season, you might want to sort of examine your own relationship to receiving, and your sense of worth around receiving, and kind of, yeah, meditate on that, visualize receiving the things that you want, really, because both of these cards speak of a kind of defensiveness or fighting spirit. You may be very self-protective, Pole 4. You may feel like you have to constantly be on guard. You may not be the most trusting person, but you're being asked here to trust, and that's coming through quite strongly, and there's a lot to be gained here from trusting. And it's not just about trusting a single person, it's about your trust in general in life, that things can come through to you. But again, there is something about working through any blockages, sometimes just visualizing. For instance, if there were walls around you, both of these cards sort of speak to that in a way, creating a sort of visualization in which those walls, you knock those walls down to their foundations so that energy can come towards you. You can receive it. There's no blockage. There's nothing preventing things from reaching you. Yeah, we are ending here on the Ace of Cups, and it's just like that full-on kind of cup running over vibe. And the Ace of Cups does speak to kind of often new love, a renewal of love. For some, there may be pregnancies, children, things like that. This can also be a pregnancy card. Again, only if that feels like your situation. I wouldn't see this as an unexpected thing if it was. But there's just like a lot of big feels going on, and it has almost a kind of youthful crush-like vibe. It's very sexy and very hopeful and very just lovely. So yeah, allow this to happen for yourself, Pole 4. You may not be good at, like all of us, you may have been through stuff and gotten wary or gotten pessimistic at times and lost faith at times. However, all of that kind of energy of, oh, it's never gonna happen, or that can also create walls. There's potential here for your expectations, if you are feeling a little bit pessimistic about love, to be completely upturned. So like, let that happen without questioning it. If something does come your way, like, it just feels really positive for me, so don't question it, don't second guess it. Obviously always use your discernment and judgment, but don't get in your own way. I think that is the major message here. So overall, like, an incredibly lovely and positive reading. Congratulations to those of you that picked this pile. I think it's pretty clear. Just to clarify here, I never see the cards ahead of time. Unless I have to redo a reading because there's some kind of technical failure. I take your stone and I sort of shuffle for as long as I that's why I don't shuffle on the camera, because sometimes you're there forever and the cards don't seem to want to cooperate with you. So it is, yeah, I didn't pick this for you. This is just what came through. So yeah, just to clarify that. If this is you, I would love to hear from you. Do let me know if throughout Scorpio season, if something magical, some dream here, some wish comes through for you. I really hope that it does. Yeah, do like, subscribe, and all the usual. And really, I'm happy to have you here, and I look forward to reading for you the next time. Take care, everyone. Bye. Hello, Pole 5. Welcome to your reading. You picked the Azurite, and today we're asking. We're just doing a general forecast for Scorpio season. So we want to know what's in store. We want some insight, how we might navigate the next few weeks. Obviously, this is general. It's collective. Take only what feels like it's true to you. So Mountain, we have for you pile 5. We have threefold riddle. We have weather. We have burning bush / lineage tree. We have tower. Okay. And in the tarot, we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Page of Wands. We have the 2 of Chalices. We have the 5 of Chalices, and we have the 8 of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay. So Mountain. for some of you pole fives, that might be quite a literal thing. You may be going to a place which is mountainous. Yeah, that may be a heads up about that if that's something that you were considering, getting away from it all. Spending a little time in nature by yourself. With threefold riddle here, this is kind of an enigmatic card, but I see it often as a kind of ways of hiding, or things that we hide from ourselves, or just things that we have to face. Yeah, there's a kind of a vibe I'm getting from this pile about needing to take some time out of a situation and spend some time alone with really considering what you want throughout Scorpio season. With weather, it's almost like there's this change in the air and you're sort of sensing it. You really want to honor your own emotions here, but there's this sense of there is a lot of conflict here. Some of you may be facing difficult choices, but you want those choices to be authentic. That you want to honor your deeper needs, rather than because there may be some expectations around you. I'm feeling that other people, perhaps family members, things like that, friends, may have certain ideas about how your life should be, and you may feel pulled in a different direction. And I think whilst in the past you may have kind of caved to the expectation of others, there's a shift here. And I think you really want to, some of you may have grown up, you know, we have this lineage tree in the threefold riddle, which is obviously kind of has this Islamic imagery. Some of you may have grown up in kind of quite conservative or quite religious circumstances where people had ideas about how you should do things, and perhaps you have at times been conformed to those things, but there's something about the energy you're currently facing that you're wanting to go against the grain, and perhaps this is new for you, and I'm sure that you have a lot of doubts here, but there's also a lot of deep conviction that I'm feeling. And with burning bush lineage tree, it's like you've got to this point in life where you're sort of like, I know what makes sense to me about my heritage and about where I've been and about my past and the things that I have inherited, but I also know what doesn't make sense to me, and I want to live the most fulfilling, most expansive, most honest, truest life to myself. The tower in the Lenormand is different to the tower in the tarot. The tower in the tarot is quite destructive. This tower is more about structures and about solid structures and things that feel quite permanent. Again, the things that you're dealing with, Pole 5, you may have felt like you could never, ever kind of go against the tide in this way, in the way that you're considering doing. You may have felt like you would never make a certain decision without sort of having other people weigh in and all of that. There's something very solitary about the way you're going about things right now, and I think that that's the right way to, for whatever that's worth, you know, I think that's the right way for you, Pole 5, to go within, to not allow other people to weigh. There are certain times in which advice of any kind from anyone just isn't helpful. It's just confusing. It's just kind of clouds. It's just become noise, and it makes it harder for us to hear our own self, right? Just want to shuffle this up. This is distracting me. I like for you guys to be able to see everything. Yeah. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is all about sort of like things are happening and they feel kind of fated. It feels kind of like destiny. It feels inevitable. I do think, and I was sensing like for some of you, this is about partnership, and it's about forming real connections. And when it comes to deep one-on-one connections, it's like no one else can tell you outside of that connection whether that's the right thing for you. Because it's not something that you can apply your logic to. It isn't. Like, you have to follow your heart, and I think that's something that you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be a relationship, but I do feel for some of you it is. And if it's not a specific person currently, it's about the possibility of one. It may also be moving away from the kind of partnership or dynamic that you don't want, that you're trying to find the courage to do. So it could be either one of those things, but close intimate partners here are, for some of you may be with someone, but there's someone else on your mind. That's also something that's coming through to me, and honoring what you truly feel, even if it's going to potentially cause some kind of chaos in your life or for other people. You want to really honor the things that you're feeling. With the Page of Wands here, the page in this card is tied up to this kind of, I don't think it's a tree. This is very interesting. The imagery on this deck is really interesting. For some of you may feel quite restricted in the situation that you're in. So yeah, for some of you that may be a relationship that you don't want to be in. For others, it's a family thing. It's just like conforming to other people's expectations for you, all of that. You may have felt this for a really, really long time. But there's this spark. The Page of Wands is about that spark. You know, first we have the Ace of Wands, which is about that kind of, you know, the light bulb moment, or it's that spark of energy that we then act on, right? It's like that's happened, and now you want to do something with it. You may have gone through things in your life recently, Pearl 5, that have just kind of, things that you've been learning about, experiences that you've had that have just created this sense of growth and shown you how, like, you can't do things necessarily in the way that you have been doing them anymore. There's a need to do things differently that has become undeniable, and it may have been boiling up for a while. This may be a long time coming. And again, yeah, it's like it could affect different factors in your life, but it's like reaching this point now where you can't pretend it's not the case. You can't pretend that you're happy with things you're not happy with. You can't pretend that you want things that you don't want, right? Sorry, I'm distracted by the battery. Over here we have the Five of Chalices, or the Five of Cups. So this is a card that often speaks of regret and loss. I do think that there's, perhaps if you feel like you have really conformed to others' expectations in the past, there's a lot of regret about things, potentially missed opportunities around that kind of thinking and behavior, and allowing other people to weigh in, allowing other people to dictate what you felt about things. Yeah, that's coming through quite strongly. Yeah, and for many I think it is family, but it could be different things. There's a sense of loss. Some of you may feel like you've lost a person because of a certain way of thinking or conforming. But this sense of loss is very motivating for you. And it's followed by the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card of hard work. And on this card, it's like she is really watering these flowers. And yeah, the pentacles are sort of material things, and they often speak to just like, you know, money, physical things. But like here, there's something very emotional for me here with these flowers. And again, with the Two of Cups here, it's like, this is about emotional fulfillment for you. It isn't about material things. It isn't about how things look to other people, or how they look on paper, all of that kind of stuff. It's about actual, it's like conforming to other people's ideas has not led you to be happy, and that's become undeniable. If you've ignored your intuition about things, etc., like things like that, like you're really having to live with the consequences. And I think you're quite determined not to do that anymore, never to do that again. And you're really working on it, but there's something in particular I do think that you want to invest in. And under this tower, like you want it's like you're burning down one thing, or maybe not entirely. It's not like that. Something, you're moving away from some sense of structure or permanency, but you do want to build something else. But you want it to be more authentic, and you want it to be more in tune with your emotions and your integrity and your authenticity. So yeah, this is the vibe and the energy I'm getting through Scorpio season. Of course, these feel like really deep changes and really deep developments in your world, Pearl 5. So obviously they will play out much longer than that. But as we're checking in with this, there does seem to be like a real sense of determination and conviction of, I will not do things this way anymore. I cannot deny the way I feel. I'm going to do things differently, and you cannot stop me. And, you know, I can commend that, and I applaud it, and I encourage it, and I think it's amazing, and I'm wishing you all the best with that, Pearl 5. I hope you'll have an amazing Scorpio season. I love reading for you, and I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment if this feels if this feels like your situation, and do like, subscribe, and all the usual stuff. And yeah, I look forward to reading for you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.